We are Cactus Wrestling. Make sure you hit that like button and subscribe so you don't miss out on future videos.
Cactus Wrestling is now available on Spotify and Amazon. And don't forget to check us out on Etsy for all of your Cactus Wrestling apparel needs. Are you an Iowa Hawkeye fan? Well, if so, then this is the video for you. Do you want to attend Iowa? Well, we're going to uncover that question in today's video on Cactus Wrestling.
Yeah.
So, we're going to be talking about Iowa transfers. Is it a good idea or not to transfer to Iowa? So Mike, my brother, has compiled a bunch of data, and we're quite literally going to let the data speak for itself because Iowa has been known kind of as like, oh, they just take the transfers instead of actually develop their own talent. Well, I mean, Iowa haters like Mike Long will say that. True, Hawkeye fans believe. But hey, we'll see.
So we're going to be going through 10 of Iowa's most recent, most prominent big name transfers that they got. We'll go through their prior to arriving at Iowa, how they did at NCAAs and their record, and then after getting to Iowa, their season records and performances at NCAAs, and then we will either all come to a consensus or debate where we think this wrestler, if Iowa helped them or hurt them overall. And I think, yeah, like Jack said, the data will speak for itself. I think in certain cases, it's going to be quite obvious if they were helped or hurt, and others will be more debatable than others. But anyhow, yeah.
So Mike, since you're the only one that knows the data, Jack, Eamon, and myself, would you guys be interested in kind of like making predictions on a trend here?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah,
We could.
definitely that.
We
Yes.
could do that.
I'm going to start off by saying, at least recently, it seems that a lot of Iowa transfers have not reached their full potential post transfer. And I can think of like, Eamon and I actually talked about, Jaden Ironman today, and we actually talked about him before, and I feel like he kind of fell off the face of the earth. Not that he didn't have a good career post, Mizzou and at Iowa. It's just, did he get noticeably better? And I would say no. We just saw this past season with Iowa transfers, and granted, a few of them had injury bugs, but is that a product of their old training, the mileage on their body, or is that an Iowa thing because they're so go go go?
Yeah, I mean, Ironman was also interesting enough. I think he was hurt with Iowa too. So, I mean, just,
That's yeah.
yeah, it's just, is that a trend or?
So I guess
I think it's not going to be as bad as you guys think it is.
I would agree with that. I think that it's probably going to be pretty solid in the beginning, but I would say that their recent string of transfers has maybe left a recency bias.
Well, let's find out.
Well, and I added a column. We can all vote on if we think Iowa helped or hurt or maybe.
Are you gonna say how many years they were with
Well, you'll
Iowa?
see. You'll see
Okay.
because
All right.
it's pretty clear.
Okay.
All right. Well, yeah. First one. This guy. Pat Lugo at Edinburgh. He was at Edinburgh for 2 years, where he was around at 12, followed by national qualifier year. He was 27 and 9 and 29 and 9 those 2 years. Got to Iowa, finished eighth.
Wait. Can you
Yeah.
switch the can you put it under
What? It is.
the header?
Oh, he means when you scroll up. I hear you saying.
Yeah.
What?
Can you put row 12 as the header?
Well, then he
Like
can't.
yeah,
He
just
wouldn't be able
switch
to
them.
scroll. It wouldn't.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
Oh, I mean, I'll.
Whoa, whoa,
That's what I mean.
whoa.
He couldn't. That's something he couldn't. He wouldn't be able to scroll. It would be.
Yeah. I mean,
185. Just do edit undo.
oh,
Yeah. Do it twice. Yeah. All right, never mind. I'll look up. I'll look up.
That's it.
I
It'll
mean,
just have to be how it goes for everybody.
Okay.
it's
Can you
not
bold? Wait. Can you bold row 12?
okay.
Make it
I'm a
red.
visual person. I need to have some. Yeah, there we go. Okay, great.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. So his um Iowa finish? He finished 8th, and then it was the COVID year, so it was a national qualifier, COVID year. I'm pretty sure he was seeded 1 or 2 that COVID year
I think he was
at
the
the
number one
NCAA
seed.
tournament, but that was the year that they didn't wrestle the tournament.
Yeah.
But
Mm.
I believe that
But
year still he received wouldn't
he was 20-1 that year.
yeah.
So he got to Iowa, he redshirted, went 5-2. The year he took 8th, he was 23-10. But then the COVID year, he was 20-1. And then I think he had like one of the top 2 seeds, but then they didn't wrestle the
He was the number one seed.
yeah, I thought he was 1 or 2. So I'd say very likely he was gonna All-American again. So had he done that, that'd be 2 All-American performances over 0 All-American performances
Yeah.
in Edinburgh.
Yes.
Also, I mean, the first year where he had a full season with Iowa was pretty on par with what he had done before getting to Iowa, but
Yeah,
then that
yeah,
last season was by far his best.
but you're comparing records. Oh, you're saying round of 12 and eighth are comparable, or are you saying their records were comparable?
I was saying I was only talking about his records. His pre-Iowa records were 27-9 and 29-9. His
Yeah,
post
but I'm saying post Iowa, the Big Ten schedule is so much harder than the Edinburgh schedule. And although I know Edinburgh used to be pretty good, they were like a top 10 team, but I don't think in 2020 they were
No,
of that
not back
caliber. I think that
then.
was like
No.
2010.
that was
Yeah, like
back when they had
2012
Vic
was.
Avery.
I see what you're saying, Jax, where
Like
it's
2016, I think was like the last year
like an apples to
with
apples comparison.
Mitchell Port and Vic
Oh,
Avery and
Lord,
those
yeah.
guys. I think Pat Lugo definitely got better at Iowa. He
100%.
was
I
like
think
the
he
Yeah.
definitely did.
quintessential Iowa wrestler.
Because
I
had
don't
that
see how you could
tournament been
argue
run,
against it, really,
I don't think
honestly.
as the 1 seed he was gonna go on to not All-American. Like I think he would have been at worst an All-American.
So
So
Yeah,
what's
eighth, worst
interesting is
eighth.
the guys in that bracket. The 2 seed was Austin O'Connor. The 3 seed Sammy Sasso. 4 seed Brock Mahler. Boo Llewellyn was the 5.
mm,
Stacked.
Matt Collod's at 6. Brayton Lee 7. And Jarrett Deegan 8.
so still all American. I mean, if I remember correctly, anyone that was like a top 8 guy as far as seeding that year for
Yeah, they
NCAA
got
was
like
like
second, like or whatever. They got All-American honors in a
yeah,
set.
that's what I said. They gave them the All-American honors anyway. So I mean,
Yeah.
he probably was going to be an All-American finish. I don't see him winning that bracket though. I will say that.
No, I
Probably not
don't.
winning it, but still, he's All-American
Deep
and
run, 100%.
2 Iowa All-American finishes compared to none before getting to Iowa.
Yes,
So I would vote that yes, he got better.
got better.
I agree.
Yeah, me too.
All right, I'll put improved.
I
All
mean, he
right,
literally went from.
next guy. You got Jaden Ironman.
Okay. Well, there's come. I mean, this is.
This is what we kind of talked about. Where
I know, but yeah, he finished 5-4-3.
How are you gonna like fault a guy for getting injured? Do you
that's
blame Iowa's
That's the
schedule on
thing.
that?
well,
That's the debate there.
I mean, it could be. That's what I said. Like, I think the recency of the like
Also, oh, no,
injuries
no, no.
probably was not ideal.
Yeah, but also, this is not one of the most recent Iowa guys. The like, I went back for the 10 most prominent guys that went back like almost 7, 8 years or so. Um, and Ironman is one of the further back guys. Also, if you look at his record, 16-2 as a redshirt at Mizzou,
Hmm.
29-7, 27-3, 28-4, all at Mizzou. He had a combined total of 20, what, 30 matches at Iowa, 12
Yeah.
and 1 and 15-3. Like, and he had ended on that injury. Yes, okay, he improved from third to second from 1 year to the next, Mizzou to Iowa, but like, I just
What
I
was that?
don't think
2021 was his last year.
Yeah.
2021, or was it 2020?
No, because he
no,
took the
2020 they didn't do it.
Olympic.
21
Which,
was his last year because he had a quick turnaround where he won the US Open.
yeah, he took an Olympic redshirt in 2020, I believe.
In
So he
2020
got
also.
injured at against
At
Stefan
the
Micic
yeah.
and
No,
lost
that
that
was
overtime match
22,
to
right? He was
To
21.
Keyshawn Clark, who ended up making the finals that year.
Oh wait, no, so he got injured in 22.
Yeah, that was
Yeah,
22
It
because
was
22.
22.
Yeah, because I
Yeah,
was
because he
thinking
took
like,
second place for Iowa.
Yeah.
yeah,
So
in
you
21.
could argue there's an argument because he did take second place for Iowa
And then
Well,
he
that's
did
in
the
win the
thing.
US
Like,
Open.
2021.
He won his the first and only US Open he ever won was, a few weeks after he was the finalist.
so yeah, there is the argument that since he did place higher, Iowa made him better, but it was third to second. So it's like,
It's
Well, he
also
had four losses, and then in 2021 he only had one loss,
But is this
but
like
if
a
you
and that was
double
to
it,
Nick Lee in overtime in the finals.
is this like a holistic comparison though? Because like then you compare like freestyle as well. Because if you look at that, then it's another. You're bringing in another set of comparisons. Did he do better under Iowa? I mean,
I would still go out on a limb and say that regardless of being at Iowa or Mizzou, he had a good chance to take second that year. I don't think,
that's kind of what I'm getting at. Like,
yeah,
I don't think that Iowa was the difference maker between him taking third and second.
agreed. And
How dare you?
I think that the ACL injury that we saw from him is something that we've seen common of Iowa wrestlers.
Yeah.
And not to say that it doesn't happen for other schools because it did. I mean, I think Carter officially, unofficially was tore his ACL.
yeah, that was yeah.
Even though there was never really a word about it, they just said it was a knee injury. But he had the same brace, the same issues.
Nolf
But
too.
yeah,
Is it Nolf too? Because he got hurt at Penn State as
he
well.
did. But I don't know. I think
I
I
guess
would
he
agree
did
that
better.
he was on a trajectory to take second regardless.
I mean, what are the options for the vote? Is it improved, didn't improve, or
Stayed the same.
regressed?
Stagnant.
St
I would say maybe he would just stay the same.
yeah,
I
stagnant.
didn't say I wouldn't say he regressed.
I think he was on par based on his performances too. At 5, 4, 3.
Neither better nor worse.
Yeah,
Like,
but in fairness, before he got hurt, he also had lost already in that tournament.
Yeah.
yeah,
Like he didn't. It wasn't.
Which tournament? Which tournament?
When he was in round of
Yeah, yeah.
the injury in his last year of wrestling.
Yeah,
oh,
NCAA.
He was already he was
He
upset.
lost to Keyshawn Clark. Yeah.
Yeah,
yeah.
it was an upset early in the tournament. So regardless, he would have been at best wrestling for third.
Yeah. So
So I don't know if that's a regression in that last year.
I mean, part of me wanted him to take first that year, so that way he would have taken fifth, fourth, third,
yeah,
second.
that would be nice.
He'd be the only one ever to do that.
Yeah.
I don't know. I especially since he injury defaulted to Stefan Mijic later, that makes me think that maybe he was battling an injury against Keyshawn Clark in the championship. I don't know.
Might have gotten hurt before that because I
Yeah,
remember
who knows?
If I remember correctly, I think he got hurt in practice like earlier that week. I thought that was the story.
like he wasn't like 100%, but it wasn't like
Yeah.
he wrestling injured.
Yeah, I mean, as so many guys have said, like at that point of the season, it's just no one's 100%.
Right.
No.
So I'm sure he was like, look, like I'm good enough health wise and skill wise that I can still make a run at this. And regardless, it's my last year anyway, so I have to go out.
I don't know if we can say stagnant though, because he did perform better.
I don't know.
Like he
I don't know if
literally
you
did.
could argue performed better. He placed higher.
But that's isn't that objectively doing better because you're placing higher than you.
Yes.
But
He statistically placed better.
if
That's
he
why I'm
went to
like,
any school, I think he would have taken second. I think that that was just the way it was going to be. Like if
but then
he,
it doesn't matter because it's improving still though. He's still
Well,
going.
but did
but
Iowa make him better?
we're saying, did he get better being at
Yeah, yeah. I see what you're saying. I guess I guess I see stagnant. I see it. Yeah, I
He
could see
certainly
it.
got more tattoos at Iowa, which is badass.
So is the consensus is stagnant?
Yeah,
Yeah,
I could
that's
see it
fine.
All right,
stagnant.
moving on up. Austin DeSanto.
My man.
So he was at Drexel for 1 year, round of 12 finish. Transfers to and was 26-7. Transfers to Iowa with a 23-6 record, takes fifth. With a 17-4 record, is only a national qualifier. Did not place. Then he went 12-2 and 18-4, taking third both years.
Okay,
Yeah,
my interesting take on Austin DeSanto is I think that had he been in a different generation, he'd be a multiple time
Multiple time,
national
yeah,
champion.
Yeah.
100%. This
I think so. Yeah.
if he was an 80s or 90s wrestler, his style of like go, 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 constantly looking to score, like he is just a maniac, but he is out talented, I would agree, hopefully you guys would say the same, by some of the better wrestlers now, but his like mindset, his gas tank, he has the tools to be an incredible wrestler. And he is obviously, I would say he got a lot better at Iowa.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. Yeah. No,
I
this
mean,
one's
just
pretty
just
clear
think
cut.
like the guys that were in his bracket all these years: Roman Bavillon, Dayton Fix, Luke
Spence,
Fletcher, Seth Gross, like
Nick
McGee.
Soriano.
Yeah,
Stefan
Soriano.
Michik. Yeah, like I mean, he's a top guy,
Yeah,
Yeah.
every year. And he only would take, one loss.
and he was super consistent. Like he took third
Yes,
place
twice.
both
I
his
mean, the
last
only
years.
inconsistency you could argue was the year he didn't place.
Hmm.
Fifth, didn't place, third.
Hmm.
Um, well, that was the COVID year.
Yeah, I say, isn't that the COVID year?
So
It was the COVID year. He didn't even have a chance to compete.
even have the opportunity.
Yeah. So
Wow.
I say definitely improved.
So
I
yeah,
still don't know.
At Drexel, he was trying to break the
each
Dietrich's
dude's.
arm,
arm.
yeah.
Yeah,
Who among us hasn't tried to break somebody's arm?
you forgot an R.
Um,
It says improved.
I don't know. Not to disagree with this. I always saw Austin DeSanto as an Iowa wrestler, and watching
Yeah.
him as in Pennsylvania when he committed to Drexel was like, wow, this is not shocking, but like it was interesting because he was very much like the Iowa type wrestler.
He
I
got kicked
guess
off immediately after that like incident, right? Is that what happened?
no,
Drexel?
he transferred like I don't think he got kicked out. He Spencer Lee shared the story that they talked on the podium the year
Oh, dang.
Spencer beat him, the year he beat Spencer. And Spencer's like, hey man, like you should think about switching schools to Iowa.
Yeah.
And the conversation, died down, but it never really stopped. And then when he didn't reach his goals at Drexel, they were kind of like, you should come to Iowa. And he did, and the rest is history. But I don't think
Interesting.
he ever faced disciplinary actions for the Drexel incident with Micich's arm. He had a few incidents at Iowa as well, but who hasn't told a reporter that they're going to kill them before?
Right.
Exactly.
All right.
Yep.
Improved for DeSanto. Moving on up. Real Woods. Stanford was a national qualifier. Round of 12. Sixth while at Stanford with the records of 15-1, 18-1, 6-3, 14-4. Then he took second and fourth at Iowa with records of 20-1 and 23-5.
I know you guys are going to disagree with me on this, but I do think he improved.
Oh, I think I might actually agree with that, Eamon.
I
I,
mean,
I
I mean, the
he
numbers
had
support it.
his best record of 20-1. He had his best finishes of second and fourth. But if you broke it down to like the second place finish to the fourth place finish,
That was
See,
a
I knew
big
you were
jump.
going to say that. I knew you were going to say
Yeah,
that.
so
I don't think
like
that's like a huge regression though.
I think what's funny is like the pattern I'm seeing so far is like it's the fifth year for these guys. Like, and we've
Yeah.
discussed this heavily on the channel. Like, these guys wrestling for 6, 7 years sometimes, getting worse. And it seems to be that that's the problem more so than anything else. Is these guys just having a great fourth, quote unquote, senior final season, and they come back for their fifth, and they're hurt, they're banged up, they don't have it in them. And we saw that with
RBY takes second.
yeah. But
Yeah.
what's funny about Real Woods is Vincenzo Joseph was coaching at Stanford at the time, as you guys might remember,
Yep, I do.
and he always said like, I just don't know what it is. This kid is so talented. He's so good in the room and he's so successful. He goes, he's going to make the jump. It's just a matter of when it's going to happen.
Yeah.
And sure enough, it just happened to happen at Iowa. And it could have been a new training staff, new coaching staff, new partners, new something. But he did finally make that jump from, a sixth place finish to a finalist.
Yeah, and he's still improving
Yeah.
at Michigan, but
I don't think he's going to beat McKenna, but
So ultimately, where do you guys stand? Do you think Woods got better transferring to Iowa despite the drop from second to fourth?
Yeah, because I think he became more of like a
well rounded.
prominent name in wrestling
Yeah.
once he found success
And didn't
breaking
he
through
lose
at
to
Iowa.
Brock Hardy for third place? Him and Hardy were like going back like
Yeah.
ton that year.
That's a full sweep.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I would say he improved.
All right, moving up. Brody Teske
Oh, here we go.
No.
at Penn
Mike loves
State
this guy.
did not qualify. At Northern Iowa, well, actually, he didn't even start at Penn State either. He didn't qualify
He
slash
never
start.
wrestled the match at Penn
Yeah,
State.
whatever it was, he was not the starter. He wasn't the guy, so he couldn't have qualified because he wasn't the starter. Northern Iowa was a round of 12, round of 16, round of 12. Oh, no, round of 12, round of 16. At Iowa, he was a round of 12. Uh, red shirt at Penn State was 4-2. And then 4-2 again. Oh no, I think he was at Penn State for 2 years. So yeah, 4-2, and then 14-3, 14-8 at Northern Iowa, 10-6, 15-7 for at Iowa.
Hot take, I think stagnant because I think he'd been dealing with injuries before, so he hadn't wrestled as much. And now that he got to wrestle, I think a lot of his wins were in like open tournaments and stuff like that. And I don't know. I think he's stagnant. That's just my
I
opinion.
remember watching him at the Big Tens with Mike, and when he beat Nick Bouzakis, Mike was like, Teske sucks. Teske's terrible. And then he went on that run at Big Tens, and he took Jacob Van to overtime too. I agree. I think he was stagnant. Uh,
I think overall his entire career though is
yeah,
probably
he
Yeah,
kind of never like he kind of just plateaued. Like he
his entire
never,
career
yeah.
was stagnant.
yeah.
Yeah, underwhelming for
He
sure.
yeah, ever since he started, he took round of 12 slash round of 16, and that's just where he lived.
Yep.
I remember like reading about an incident he had at Penn State where they basically said like he lacks the maturity to do what needs to be done to get to the next level.
Damn.
In the sense that they're
Ouch.
like he's partying too much, he's hanging around the wrong crowd, he's not
Oh,
doing what he's supposed to be doing. And they said like he's got all the talent in the world to be, to go to these schools, to go to a Penn State, a Northern Iowa, an Iowa, that's they don't just take anybody.
no.
And he had the talent obviously coming out of high school, but they said he lacked the maturity needed to stay at that high level and move to the next, tier. Um, so I wouldn't say he got worse or better. I would just say that his whole career was just stagnant.
He
All
reminds me of like in a sense, obviously Santo way better, but in a sense, because isn't Teske from Iowa originally, and then he went to Pennsylvania,
I think
then
he's from.
sort of like the opposite, because DeSanto stayed in Pennsylvania, but then went to Iowa.
He fights out of I knew that.
Didn't he? Where's Teske? Is Teske from Iowa?
Yeah, he's
I
from
think he's from Iowa.
Duncombe.
Yeah, but yeah, definitely stagnant, I would say. I don't.
right. So far, halfway through, we have Iowa has improved three guys and two guys have stayed stagnant. So far, it seems like if you go to
Bad
Iowa,
day for Iowa haters.
you're more likely to get better. All right, moving up. Jared
The
Franek,
freak Franek.
Oh
North Dakota
boy.
State. He was a national qualifier, round of 12, fourth. Then his records for those years were 2-2 as a red shirt, 26-7, 13-5, 21-5, 27-3. Then at Iowa, he took eighth with a 21-8 record. This is I'd argue there's an argument that he got worse.
I would say
Yeah,
that's fair based
that's
on
fair.
He placed four lower. His record was by far
the
one of
most losses he had ever.
it was the most
Do you
losses he
think
ever
there's like
had
an
Yeah, but
single
argument?
season.
it's the schedule though, strength of
Yeah, I was gonna
schedule.
say, what about like and also the guys in the weight? Could you make an argument who like the weights from year to year?
That's true. I'm looking it up. 2023, he lost to Josh Humphreys twice and Peyton Robb once.
Okay.
I mean, Josh Humphreys is
Josh Humphreys was a third place finisher who had one loss, I think, on that season, and it was in the semis.
And then his losses in 2024 were Peyton Robb, Meyer Shapiro, Jakori Teamer, Levi Haynes, Will Luan in overtime,
Of course.
and Michael Blockus.
Ooh, that
Yeah,
block is
that's solid Big Ten and Cornell schedule. But Shapiro hasn't done anything crazy. Even he's two-time All-American.
I guess objectively he did get worse, I'd say.
It's tough to judge it on one
I
season.
know, but just based on all the numbers here and the placement, he
I
did.
mean, we all, if you can't give it to Franek for that, we did give it to DeSanto for he was 1 year away.
Yeah. Yeah, I would say he regressed in my opinion, but
I'm trying to see 2023. Okay, here we go. 2023 brackets. Franek lost in the semis, and then he
Here he
beat Vinny Zerbin. He beat Will Luan 3-2. He beat Peyton Robb, and then lost to Humphreys. So he lost to Humphreys twice at the NCAA tournament. Austin O'Connor won the weight class, and that was Levi Haynes' first season.
yeah.
I just
I
think
guess
record-wise,
statistically, you would, yeah, I guess you could say
Yeah, I
he.
guess he did do worse. I mean, just based on the performance and the record, but I mean, taking into context the losses, it's like gets murky.
I would say borderline regressed to stagnant.
Mike, where are you at?
I would say regressed. I mean, the big thing that stands out for me is, of course, his record. And I think there's the point to be made that Jack and others have said is, the Big Ten schedule is brutal.
Yeah.
But
Do you
if
think if you
you're, but if
let
you're a
North
top
Dakota
four
State?
guy in the nation, it shouldn't matter what schedule you wrestle. You should be a top four guy in the nation.
That's exactly what I was just saying. I was like, do you think if he stayed at North Dakota State, he would have done better? Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
so, okay. Consensus is in. We say he regressed. That's the first one. He's one of the more recent guys, too.
God
Yeah.
bless you.
This is Zoom tight.
Thank you. I'm gonna sneeze again. I'm just gonna keep muting myself though when it happens.
Well,
Fans want to
I'll
hear
I'll do the sound effects for you.
Thank you.
that. All right, moving on up. Mikey Caliendo
Oh, this
here
is a
at
good
North
one.
Dakota State, where he took seventh. Redshirt year 4-2 was 29-5. Then at Iowa, fourth, second to be determined, 24-6, 24-3.
Improved for
This is
sure.
yeah. I mean, this is similar to
DeSanto.
Santo.
Yeah.
If Messenbrink isn't there, this kid is, we're talking about a guy that is, possibly a multiple time national champ.
Yeah.
Yes. So, anyhow, still,
And the fact that
regardless of how he finishes this coming season, it's
yeah,
even without the season, it's he got better.
well,
Yeah.
the
No
way
doubt.
he's closing the gap too on Messenbrink, where he went from a tech to a major to a decision at one point,
Mm.
um, just shows improvements. And I don't know if he would be able to do that at North Dakota State.
Yeah, he gave a better fight than Carr did at the US Open versus Ring. I
Yeah.
mean,
All right. Well,
Caliendo's bonus percentage. Anyone want to guess in 2023 at North Dakota State
At
what
North
his
Dakota
bonus
State,
percentage was?
27.
Caliendo's?
33.
Yeah, yeah. Caliendo's bonus point percentage at North Dakota State was 29%.
I was close
In
to.
2024, it jumped to 50, and in 2025, 66. So if that is,
Yeah, that's
I mean,
pretty.
I don't think it could be any more clearer.
Wait till he goes 157 this next season.
That's what I
national
said in that
level.
one video.
We'll have to talk about it in our Iowa preview coming
Also,
up.
are you guys surprised he didn't wrestle like at the US Open or anything like
He
that?
was registered for it.
Wonder what happened.
Yeah. Or that was for World Team Trials. I think he was registered.
A lot of
Let's
those Iowa guys
a
didn't
lot of them.
wrestle.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of guys
Ayala?
that have. You go first.
No, I was saying Ayala, he wasn't there either.
Yeah, a lot of these guys that have, auto qualifying to World Team Trials, I've noticed recently haven't been doing it.
So weird.
I was hoping to see AJ Ferrari there, especially because he did talk about it in an interview where he was like, "Yeah, dude, I'm doing freestyle this year. See guys at the U.S. Open, World Team Trials," and I was like, "That's awesome."
Nope.
Neither show, and I was like, "Oh,
All
I
right.
think Drake Ayala is scared of the 61 kilo weight class, but
Could be. Yeah. All right, moving on up. Our next one, since that was a clear improved, is Kyle Parkco at Fresno State. He took sixth with a record where he redshirted 12-2 and 18-4 record. Then transferred to Arizona State where he took eighth, fourth, and fifth, and was 23-4, 25-6, 25-4. Then at Iowa, he got injured and he was a national qualifier and got injured at the national tournament, but he was 21-4. So it's
I was
not his
impressed.
best record.
Yeah, but he beat
Far
the
from
national
stagnant
champion in the
performance.
season.
What?
Stagnant.
Yeah, he beat the national. He beat Ridge Levitt during the season.
Yeah, but a few people beat Ridge Levitt.
Yeah, that's
Two
I wouldn't
two
say
people beat Ridge
that
Levitt.
alone.
No, I think it's either stagnant or a slightly improvement, if anything, not regress.
Whoa, I don't know about that.
I don't think I would put it in the improvement column.
I said slightly, very slightly.
It's not his best record. It's far from his best performance.
I don't think he regressed at all. I
I
think he
think
was stagnant. I think he was
Stagnant,
pretty
yeah.
much traditional Kyle Parkco. He's very
Yeah, I think that's
top
fair. I'm
top
not
of the
saying
pack, but not the number one guy.
If he stayed at Arizona State, does he get hurt?
Oh
Maybe.
gosh,
I'm just. Do we think that his injury was a byproduct of the Iowa style of wrestling?
there's an argument to be made for that, yes.
And
Kyle
I think
Parkco's
that
bonus point percentage was the highest of his career at Iowa
Yeah,
it's
that's what I'm
also
saying. You can make
the
an
least amount of
argument of
matches he's
slight
ever wrestled.
improvement.
by like 3.
That's in
By
bonus point. That's a
literally
huge
3
difference.
matches.
If he doesn't bonus three guys, that percentage changes dramatically.
But the
Okay.
Iowa schedule, we keep saying it, is harder than
No, it's
Arizona
not.
State's.
No. We're talking. If we're gonna talk Big Ten schedules, Iowa is not harder. They do the Soldiers Salute where they wrestle D3 talent.
that
Yeah,
is
but that's
true,
only
but that
because
is one of their
All
premier
these
events.
duels, Oklahoma State, Northwestern, Minnesota, Nebraska, Maryland, Penn State, Ohio State, Illinois,
Run the
Iowa,
names.
or Wisconsin.
run the name.
Soldier salute. Soldier salute. Kyle Parkco only had 2 of his 4 wins at Soldier Salute as bonus.
Also, the only reason the
That
Soldier Salute
sucks.
exists now is because of how bad the other tournaments have gotten, the scuffle
I would
and
still take any of those other ones over.
Lens.
All right, let's see. Let's get to the bottom of this.
I think it's a stagnant, but
Yeah,
that's-
stagnant. I'd agree with stagnant. We're halfway stagnant right now. We need one more vote.
Matt, Mike, are you stagnant?
I would say he regressed. Okay, so
Oh,
you talked about his wins. Doesn't major Dylan Gilcher.
Okay.
Doesn't major Carter Young. Doesn't major Sam Cartella. Doesn't major Drew Roberts. Doesn't bonus point Ridge Lovett. Gets destroyed by Shane Van Ness. Doesn't major D'Amelio. Doesn't major Webster. The only guys he bonused were guys that were ranked in like the 200s.
Okay.
but his bonus percentage was higher
I'm talking about this current season, the guys that you
than
said
any other year, though.
because he wrestled cupcakes.
He's saying that the Soldier Salute like dilutes his like record. It gives a little extra fluff
So he
to that
has
record.
a tech over Jaden Abbas, which is pretty good. He has a tech over Christopher Martino,
Is it good though? I mean, Abbas has been very just
but at least Abbas is
Boss
a
is
top
always
20
like
guy.
tough. He had that one
yeah,
in
but
three
he's
All-American.
so underwhelming at nationals these days. It's like,
Hey, he knocked off Kasich in the first round, and then
yeah,
All-American.
okay.
So
And how'd
watch
that work
out
out
for
for him that tournament?
Like I said, his bonus rate, he didn't beat anyone of note. Like
Hey, if we're going on stats, that's a stat to point to.
just classic Iowa duck the guys that are tough.
I mean,
He beat Lachlan McNeil. He beat Ridge Lovett. He beat Anthony Ekmendia.
But he didn't bonus them. That's my point. Is that like
Doesn't matter. He beat him.
but you said his bonus rate was higher.
It is.
And I go, yeah, but he's wrestling guys from Wisconsin that are ranked 256th.
I can't see
I
how you
see
could say he
Mike's
got
point.
worse though, just
I
because
would
he
say
got
he got
injured.
better. I would say that
I
stagnant would
think
be
That's what I'm
better.
saying. Stagnant.
even if
So
he didn't
stagnant then.
transfer, I think he stayed about the same. Like
Okay,
he would
so
have
we're
still
right,
been bonusing
yes.
those guys.
So we were right in the end.
Stagnant would be generous, is my 2 cents.
How is
I,
that
I think
fair?
stagnant is fair.
See,
Because had he not gotten hurt, there's a good chance he makes the podium.
But I think that he got hurt because he's Iowa.
Fair. That is fair. Well, maybe I'll put stagnant slash.
oh my gosh.
What?
That's not what.
What do you mean?
Regress
Slash
question
re-
mark?
I don't think there's a question that it's. I think it's.
I thought we were pretty definitive on stagnant.
I think I got outvoted.
You got outvoted. We just put your regressed in there.
No, but I think that like I would say I'm agreeing with you guys. It's like
This
I
looks like
think
a compromise to
it
me.
would be stagnant. I think I got outvoted. You three said stagnant. I was the only one really said.
I see.
I was like thinking maybe worse, but like not enough to vote regressed. So anyhow, all right,
Everyone
moving
hated
on up. We got a fun one here.
Oh wait,
Jakori
side question:
Teamer.
Does Parkco have any eligibility left, or is he done?
No, Parkco's
No,
done.
he's done.
Okay.
So Jakori Teamer, Arizona State, was a national qualifier, finished fourth, sixth, second, with
I think
record
this
of
was
redshirting
very,
9 and 2.
Clearest
very
regression.
easy, clearest regression.
Yeah, regress. Like
Yeah, there's
Dude is
nothing.
almost a 500 wrestler.
he was. That season was
He
awful.
phoned it in the
Awful. Like
entire
National
year.
qualifier and got injured.
I
So
said that was going to happen, though. If you guys remember when we
Yeah.
did this preview, I said, look, since high school, he's been dealing with injuries. I go, you're going to take a guy that has such a serious injury-plagued career and put him in a team that is unfortunately known for guys going so hard and pushing through these injuries.
I mean, we have 3 of them are injured.
Yeah, it's a recipe for
collecting
disaster.
that bag. He needed that bag.
But yeah, Jakori Teamer
But in
could not care
fairness,
less.
though, I feel like all these guys that are getting injured, like that was Jakori Teamer's seventh season
Well,
of
and
college wrestling.
that's what I said earlier is that, is it the Iowa way hurting these guys, or is it Iowa saying, hey, we're going to take seventh year so and so, and it just happens to be that he's hurt? I mean, with a guy wrestling that long at that high of a level, chances are he's going to be beat up. He's going to have a lot of miles on him. Could he have gotten hurt at Fresno State? Could he have gotten hurt at Edinburgh, Penn State? Could he get hurt at Princeton? Totally possible if he was a seventh year guy like a lot of these guys are.
Did he get like a big NIL like contract? Does anyone know?
He
Or
did. He did.
geez, that's
Oh,
a
yeah, he
huge like
definitely-
that's a big L for Iowa. That did not pan out well at all. At
Wow.
all.
No.
Is it correlation or causation though with these guys with injuries?
Sure. Yeah.
I'm gonna say it's Iowa's fault.
Well, yeah, he got worse while at Iowa. So
Because he
All
was
right.
even before he got hurt against the Iowa State guy, or I'm already forgetting his name. That match was so close even before he got hurt, and it's like, dude, like this guy's bumping up. What's his name again? The Iowa State guy, Panero Johnson.
Nero.
Pinheiro bumped up a weight class, and it was still a close match before Jakori got hurt in that match, and you're just thinking to yourself, like, well, yeah, I don't know. Definitely regress though.
all right, to round it out, we got Stephen Buchanan,
Improved.
Improved national
Improved.
champion.
which yes, I mean that's pretty clear. He was national qualifier at Wyoming, took and eighth at Wyoming, and then he took third and third. Or no.
Well, no, I won't say
Let me
that.
say that
No,
again.
it's definitely
National
improved.
qualifier eighth and third at Wyoming. Then he transferred to Oklahoma and took third. Then he transferred to Iowa and took first. He also had his best record at Iowa of
Yeah, no, he
21
definitely improved.
compared to 20 and 13, 14 and 6, 25 and 3, 27 and 3 at Wyoming and Oklahoma. It was a pretty
Technically-
clear improved.
Technically, he is just following the sort of transition now, but I will say improved for sure.
I mean, it was least amount of losses.
Yeah,
Won the
it's hard to
title.
argue against it.
It's hard to argue. But if we're looking at the numbers here, we have
Pretty good for
Hey,
Iowa.
he beat the he did something that only one other person had ever done, and that's beat AJ Ferrari.
Yeah.
Well
And
improved.
now AJ Ferrari has disappeared and is going to UNC.
Improved.
Improved.
I'll fix that, my mistake.
For the fans that read these.
Yeah, they'll get on you real quick.
So it's 5 to 3 to 2. 5 for improved, 3 stayed stagnant, 2 regressed, unless you want to put Parkco in the regressed column, in which case it's 2 stagnant, 3 regressed. So is it worth going to Iowa as a transfer? Will you improve? It seems like it's a 50-50 shot.
It literally is, yeah, for like 55%
These are
chance.
But
their 10 most
it's
prominent.
an 80% chance
And you
that
won't get worse.
you won't get worse.
80% chance you don't get worse, 50% chance you'll get better, 20% chance you do get worse.
I would say that it's worth it in this with NIL these days because of
Which
how
Oh yeah.
also, are any of you surprised by this? Because I know I was when I was going through this, because I was in my head, I was like, you go to Iowa, you get worse.
yeah.
No, I that's what I said in the beginning. I said I don't think it's gonna be as worse as it
I
you
definitely thought
you
it
you
was
think
worth.
because you guys always hate on Iowa.
What? No, I did.
No, not Eamon. The Mikes do.
Uh,
I mean, yeah, I think I've been giving Iowa a bad rap for not treating their transfers very well. But then again, you also have, I should add this column, injured,
Yeah, all of them.
33% chance that you're going to get injured.
yeah.
Are they gonna have career-ending injuries?
Career-ending injury is 33%.
And
So
I'm gonna say something, and
80% chance you don't get worse, but 33% chance career's over.
I'm gonna say something, and I know the comments are gonna absolutely just destroy me for this, but I really think Iowa needs a changing of the guard.
I
But
agree. No,
yeah,
I've been
that's just
absolutely.
my
saying that for a
opinion.
long time, Eamon, so that's not
Yeah,
really.
well, I'll
Keep
join in
Tom and
with you.
Terry around, man. I love them. I think they're super fun. I love that I know what every interview is going to be like, no matter what happens. I
We gotta
love
get
that.
better.
Yeah. What are you guys working on today? Getting better.
Well, it's just so unfortunate because they're not
I'm
old
dead
either. So it's like
serious.
if they were to leave, it's just
What I
like with
ex
John Smith, at least he was like, I don't
ancient.
know.
No, John Smith wasn't as old as I thought he was.
Yeah, he's
No, he's
not that
not.
old.
Um, my guess for Iowa is Tom and Terry are going to stay around until someone like Spencer Lee is ready to take over the reins. It's going to be someone from Iowa.
Yeah.
I,
What
I
about Dan Dennis? No.
no,
I
it's
don't think
going to
he's
be
as big of a name
No,
to
Yeah.
get like
yeah,
people
he's a
hyped.
good like wingman, like your right
yeah,
hand.
But he's so like he's so involved in coaching.
for
It's
sure,
like,
Yeah, he could be an assistant.
or
yeah.
associate maybe. I don't know. The other thing I could see is like if Kyle Dake or Jordan Burroughs wanted to shake up the wrestling world just like David Taylor did.
That's what they need, honestly.
Yeah, but
Honestly,
it's I just don't see it happening. The fact that both of them are still trying to compete. I mean, this is who knows what Jordan Burroughs is going to do now that we didn't see him
yeah,
try to
what
make
is going on with
first time.
Jordan? I mean, he didn't compete this year.
Yeah, first time in a long time he didn't attempt to make a team.
That'd be so interesting if Jordan decided to.
I think it's like 14 years
I
first time.
don't think Iowa's ready for someone like Jordan Burroughs. I think it's too much. Like they're very much like we have a specific style that we want to wrestle, the way we want to coach, and we
Also,
like
the
this
brands had a contract extension not that
tensions.
far
Yeah.
off.
Oh, true. Yeah. So then,
Oh, they're going to be there for at least another like probably cycle of like four,
Plus, yeah,
four
if
years.
you ask like Iowa haters as well, they're saying that Bob Nichols runs the show anyway. So
Hmm.
but as
So
Ben Askren said, bet on yourself.
yeah.
Go to any school, dominate that school, and then let the NIL offers come to you.
it's true.
He talked about that where he was like, hey, like, what he tells his own guys, like go to a Cal Poly or Cal Baptist even and have an incredible redshirt year. And then someone like Penn State might come along and be like, hey, we want this kid. And who knows, maybe it'll be the next Mitchell Messenbrink. But he said, like, bet on yourself. He goes, go to the school that you're going to be able to dominate and do well at. And then because this new era of wrestling, schools will find you.
Yeah, because
He
they
goes,
You
definitely.
get paid.
yeah, exactly. He goes,
Yeah.
and look at how we're seeing it now, where there's been the not controversy, but we saw a mass exodus from Iowa. And a lot of it happened to be that guys were like, well, I've been here the whole time. Where's my NIL deal? And so sometimes it's better to just commit to a smaller school first, do really well for that small school, and let the big schools chase you instead of committing to the big school immediately and then letting them be like, okay, we have him. We're not at risk of losing him.
I feel like coaches are now starting to think that we could be at risk of losing anybody at any time.
Yeah. But I think there's something to say too, because if you look at programs like UNI, though, even with the NIL, like it just shows you how, like, yeah, the NIL is affecting things, but in reality, it's only for like the top, I would say the top echelon guys. The other guy, like that's why programs like UNI are still like,
I mean,
they're
Kent
still,
State Bakersfield, they had a gem and they couldn't keep him.
yeah, it's true. Yeah, it's a little different. It's a little bit different. Now he's across the country, so we're just going coast to coast.
Rob Cole.
Yeah.
Yes.
So there you have it. That is the Iowa transfer video. Drop a comment down below. What are your thoughts? Are you surprised? And what do you think? We're gonna have some more data to add to this list with the likes of Nasir Bailey, Jordan Williams. Who was the other one they recently got?
Dylan Shaver?
Sammy Alvarez.
Oh
Oliver
no,
too.
no, not Shaw.
25. Dean Peterson.
Dean
Oh,
Peterson.
Peterson,
Yeah.
yeah.
Peterson, yeah.
Sammy Alvarez is
So
not starting.
we'll have to wait and see how they end up doing at Iowa. That's four names. So let us know your thoughts down below, and thanks for watching Cactus Wrestling.
Nixon 6.
Thanks for watching. We are Cactus Wrestling, and we'll see you next time on our next video.